Hi, I'm Catherine Stanislawski with Keller Williams, and I'm here today with Gaelle.
Hi, Catherine. It's so nice to be with you today. I'm Gaelle Chapon. I'm a well-being and mental fitness coach, and I'm very happy to welcome you in my house today.
Thank you for having us. A lot of people struggle with clutter in their home, and especially after the holidays, and we seem to accumulate a lot more stuff. And how do we go through the process of decluttering and keeping things that really only bring us joy and make us happy?
Cluttering is a very important topic because it's not only about clearing up our space and making our house look more beautiful, but it's also about creating some mental space and emotional space inside of us. It's a thing, as you say, winter is such a good time because it's a time where we spend more time inside the house and we can have more time to go through our things and ask ourselves the same way Marie Kondo is doing. I really love her work, so I'm going to inspire us with that too. Is this that I have here, is that bringing me joy? Is that something that I really feel happy to have in my house? Or is it just something that is cluttering my space and it's not bringing me peace?
How does our environment, not just our home, but maybe our desk space at work, our vehicles, our purses, our bags, how does that reflect on what's going on emotionally and in our head?
It has a very important impact, actually. Our brain, as human, our brain is very visual. So the space we are in and what we look at is very important. So imagine you get into your office and your desk is cluttered with tons of files and paperwork. It creates in your brain the sensation of overwhelm because you have all these things that are there, and right away you start with, most of it is unconscious, but you have this unconscious anxiety because there is so many things there that it creates this sense of being overwhelmed. As the opposite, if you clear up your desk and you get there in your office and you have this clear desk, you have this sensation of clarity, of mental space, of ability to focus because the space is clear, so you are much more calmer and you have less anxiety. It works the same for our house. If we get in a space that is open, that has light, that looks aesthetically also something that is appealing to ourselves, we're going to have this sense of calm and it can help us to bring joy. It's very important sometimes just to maybe sit on the couch in the couch in our living room and look at things around us and wonder, is that the way I want it to be? Or are there things there that I can actually get rid of that are not part of this space and not part of where I am in my life today?
Mm-hmm. What do you say to those that say, I might need this though someday, and they have a really hard time getting rid of things that they feel like down the road, a year from now, 2 years from now, 10 years, they hang on to it. They think at some point they're going to need it or somebody's going to need it.
Yes, that's very interesting that you bring that up because it's really based in this fear of missing out on something or missing of something. It comes from a place of, it's not a place of abundance. It's like we have in our minds that we may lack of something someday. It's not the case right now. I know we have what we need, but we are thinking worst case scenario in the future. When we recognize that and we actually get out of this, we have to get out of our comfort zone because our comfort zone is hanging on stuff. But we decide that I don't need that today. I've not been using it maybe in a year, 2 years, 3 years. They are it's really rare that we would need it in the future. And we make this effort to get rid of it. We are actually creating space. We are creating a mindset of abundance. Instead of being in this fear of missing, we embrace an optimist view that we will have what we need in the future and we have what we need now and we don't have to hang on that. It has a very important impact on our way of being in the world.
A lot of homeowners, and I find this, it's sad, and I'm guilty of it too. When I sold my home, there were a lot of projects there were a lot of wishes that I wanted to do in our home, but we didn't do until we knew we were getting ready to put our home on the market. And I find that there are so many homeowners that experience the same thing. And then finally they call and they say, we're going to put our home on the market, but we're finishing these projects or we're doing this organization and we're cleaning and we threw out so much stuff that we no longer needed. And they always say, I wish we had done this sooner. And I think how sad that they didn't live that way why do we do that to ourselves?
And I think it's important that you share that, because when we do it, suddenly we realize that actually, oh my, I should have done that better. But sharing it can inspire others now. They can learn from this experience and take it with us. But there is something, it has its foundation in what we just brought out before, this fear of missing.
Yeah.
And also, sometimes it makes us feel more grounded, because we have all this, we think that having all these things is creating grounding, when actually it's just cluttering. That's a really right word, and it's not helping us to create space for new things. We have to realize and acknowledge that whatever we hang on now, it's space we don't have for something new. We are living more in our past than in our future, because we don't want to get rid of things. And so it's important to let go so we can create space for something new for ourselves. Yeah. And it's also like this idea of it's a weight. Either we recognize it or not, but it's a weight that we have in the house, but it's also a weight here, like all these things we own, and by letting them go, we create space, and we also create a sense of more freedom, because there is more lightness that is coming with it. We become lighter.
It is true, because I know my purse, I will accumulate so many receipts and things. Everything goes in there and it just stays there. And every time I lift it up, why am I carrying this around with me? What's the attachment? It's something I recognize, but I have a hard time personally maintaining a system. What's your advice on when I know we live in a society where I think things are very mass produced. You can go to Hobby Lobby and pick up a whole bunch of art or whatever. And I always, my thought is, in my kind of the Marie Kondo way of thinking, is this something that brings me joy? Does it bring me joy knowing that everybody has this, and that it was made by people that didn't really have an attachment to it or really put some feeling behind it, versus like if you go to Etsy and you find an artist there that everything into that one piece of art, and it's one special thing versus something that's been mass produced. And I still shop at Hobby Lobby, but I really try to I always say, can I live without this? But getting rid of things at my home that I can shed, I think your analogy of saying and letting go of what you're no longer using so that you can receive more is such a beautiful way of thinking, and a very comforting.
And for sure, there is two aspects. It is like the new things we bring in, more intentional about do I really need it? Mm-hmm. And if I don't need it, do I really want it? Yeah. What is it? Is it we feel empty in some ways, and we think it's gonna feel this emptiness, and most of the time material things do not really feel any frustration or emptiness we feel inside. Being more mindful about that, we don't accumulate things that actually in the end create more frustration than satisfaction, because we purchase them with a desire, but the desire is not met by the purchase, because what we really need is something different. And on the other side, when it comes with what we already have in the house, I think it's interesting to have an organization around it, because it's all about being intentional, all about taking care of it. And it can be having a ritual as a family, like maybe once or twice per year. Seasons, I think, are a good way for us. So we choose, a lot of people do some spring cleaning. It can be also part of it, but it can also be in the winter, as the time as we are together and we decide to go through things and just order on what we really need and what we really like and what is bringing us joy. But having this kind of ritual where at least once per year, we take the time to address at least one of the space in the house, and the ones that need the more attention per view of what has been accumulated there. And we go through this process individually or together. And there are so many things in the declutter. It's not only about, so it can be your clothing that you don't wear anymore. It can be objects that you have in the house. We were talking about that earlier, but it can be paperwork. You know, that there is a certain time you need to keep some documents, but then legally, right, you don't have to. Why do we hold on this, all these tax documents or receipts or that we have like 15, 20 years ago? Sometimes it's just time to let go and create space for that. But I think the idea of creating this ritual is important. I think this date where we can, at this moment where I'm going to do it.
A lot of people, almost everybody I know, especially other women that have businesses, the amount of anxiety and stress that they're under is very sad to me that this is the way we're living. And I think it goes back to a few decades ago when women were returning to the workforce and when it was, I can do everything. And I think that contributed to this, what a lot of women are experiencing now, trying to manage the household and the business or at work, whatever. What is some advice that you have for moms that are feeling so stressed out, very anxious? And I want to say that anxiety, a lot of people, who have anxiety don't look outwardly like they have anxiety.
Mm-hmm. They don't recognize it.
Yeah, other people look at them and they're very controlled. They have it all together. And inside there's a tornado going on. And I think, especially as a mom, we want to teach our children how to manage the stress and the anxiety so that they don't suffer from this as well. What is your advice?
So service resonates with me because I've been, also I'm not a mom, I've been through this high functioning anxiety. I looked like I had everything all together. I was very successful in my corporate career, and inside it was just terrible. It led me to burnout and depression. I've been through that. And when I decided to go to coaching, I decided to make that and finding my own path to overcome this anxiety and turn it into a strength instead of having it as my worst enemy. I decided that would be my call to help others to go through that. And what is very important, I'm going to make a bridge with what we talked about, this decluttering and letting go is like talking about women specifically. It's like women had a job before that was taking care of their family, and that's a full-time job. It's already a job by itself. And what happened, they went into the workforce and most of them had something new. And it was just adding things, but not really letting go of anything. And now, of course, you look at all the responsibilities you have. And the stress, what is stress? We feel stress when we think that what is in front of us, we're not going to be able to do it. There is a sense of overwhelm, and so there is this fight or freeze. But it's a sense of acknowledging that we need to let go also. And that's a very difficult topic. And it can be for men and women. It is but there is no thinking that we will do all of that is a worry to us without letting go of anything is not the right. And we have to acknowledge that something has to be let go of so we can create space for self-care. Because the problem is when you get in this cycle, you have high energy, high motivation. Like me, sometimes you love your job, of course you love your kids, you have your family, you want to do it all, and you get with all your energy, but then it just you never take the time to recharge this energy. And after a couple months, a couple years, sometimes decades, you get to a very depleting state because you never take care of your own level of energy. You need to recreate this. It's so important. You have to recreate this space for yourself. And I know when I say that, it sounds overwhelming because I'm going to talk about that to my client. And they're, but Gaelle, I cannot already do what I'm doing. So how am I going to be able to create space for myself? And so we have to put everything on, just look at everything and see if what is happening if you keep doing what you're doing now. Because people have to see the path of where is that leading you. And when you see that, then you realize, oh, I don't want to, that's not where I want to go. I know I need to change something now. And then we work both on lifestyle, because lifestyle is part of it, bringing some tools to be able to better regulate stress. So it's a lot of mindfulness practice that I bring there. And it's rethinking actually what our life look like and thinking about what is really important. Because it's all about defining what are your priorities and creating a life where that what matters are this, and we're gonna let go of a lot of details on the other parts of it. But it's really also about the regulation of your body, because your body is when you are in chronic stress, your your nervous system is totally dysregulated. We have to work on that. We need to bring some mindfulness practice, some exercising, some looking at what you eat, the quality of your sleep. It has to be there. There is no going back and feeling good if you do not address the body. And sometimes that's the first thing actually to take care of is our body. Our mind can get the level of rest that it needs. And then we can clearly see a new path for ourselves.
I think a lot of women, our day doesn't end just because the day ends. You go home and then you're there's a lot of people beyond our family that need you. And then you're reflecting on everything that you said and did at the end of the night, and you're trying to fall asleep and all these thoughts are intruding. And it's so hard to wind down.
And so that's when the practices we talk about, like to creating this space, can come. And then it's helping us to regulate I come back to that, because when we regulate our nervous system, we create more calm. And so we are able also to look at things with less of this stress and anxiety response. And it's helping us to bring things down. And a lot of women want to do it all. And just recognizing also where can I get support? What can I let go of? What will still be okay if the kids don't do that? Or if somebody else take over on this task and it's not going to be done maybe the way we want,
but
it will be, we have to, really this idea of letting go is important, of thinking, because when we do that, when we do it all perfectly or the best we can, there is still something that we are letting go of something else. And this something else is our joy. It's our own experience of our life. And when we show up depleted and anxious, is it really the best of ourselves that we are giving to our family, our kids, our colleagues? I love this quote that says, self-care is giving the world the best of you instead of what is left of you. Because it's really like this investment in yourself. It's gonna help you to be at your best, and you're gonna actually be more productive, because that's what comes with it. The more depleted we are, the less effective we are in everything we do. And when we take this time to recharge, we become more effective also in our day.
And I think part of that, to me, really ties into the decluttering of the space and everything. It's all connected, because I know in the morning when I go out to have coffee, I'm very fortunate because my husband cleans the kitchen every night for me, and he makes the coffee in the morning. I feel very blessed that he does that, because it's so nice to go in the kitchen and there's no dirty dishes. Everything's been put away and cleaned, and then your coffee's ready. And it's just it's a nice way to start the day in the morning with a clean slate. But he's not going to clean my office, so my dad does things like that. But yeah, I feel very motivated to do some decluttering, because I know it'll be very helpful in a lot of areas. Because I know I talk to so many women and they just really struggle with anxiety. And when you talk to them, you think, gosh, it seems like you have it all and you do it all and you're so amazing. And we're so afraid of letting somebody down or not performing because they're going to say you can't do it all.
But the problem is when we do that, we let somebody down, ourselves, and we are as important as the other people in our life. It's important to acknowledge that.
Yeah.
There is somebody that is let down.
Right. That's true. That's powerful.
Yeah, and we all deserve that. And as adults, of course, kids need to be taken care of. But adults, we have, it's our responsibility. Our life is our responsibility. Nobody's going to come and ask. It's very rare. At work, if you work over hours, it's very rare that somebody's going to come and tell you, oh my gosh, work less. No, if you don't set your own boundaries, nobody's going to set them. Or the people are going to set them in a way that is not in your own best interest. They will do, we can hope the best thing, but they cannot know what we need. We only know what we need.
Right. If somebody wants to start to declutter, what do you recommend them do first to get started?
I think choosing really something that bring a sense of, I can see if I do that, I'm going to feel lighter, I'm going to be happier, and keep it like in a, where people fail usually is like suddenly they decide, oh my gosh, I'm going to declutter the full house. Their goal is so ambitious is that they start as, oh my gosh, there is so much to do. There is this sense of overwhelm, and the overwhelm creates stress, and also the time it leads to procrastination because you're like, oh my gosh, it's too big. Choosing something small. I know me, what I do, I start with the vanity in my bath. That's a pretty small space. I do that. Or I decide I'm going to go through some of the drawers in my bedroom with my clothes, and I'm just going to do a couple of them. It's just like setting a first goal to get us in creating this momentum. So getting us in mode with something small. Is the things that come first to mind, maybe the things that is the most important to address now, and just starting there. And then you've done this thing, you can get to another small thing, and next thing, after a couple of weeks or months, all the house, has been decluttered.
And that's my hope for anybody watching, is that they feel like they are worthy of doing that and living that way. Living this way. Your home's beautiful, and I love how you have very intentional things, and it's very inspiring. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure, Catherine.
Thank you.